Hi everyone, thank you for watching our video. We've got lots of other amazing online courses available on the Morales Method website, our other online courses. So here we are on Elena's mid-back, and with the mid-back we can use all the same tools: soft fist, knuckles, and forearm, either in a classic deep tissue stance or a neoclassic as we lean against the table. I do want to bring up one technique that includes the forearm, and that's this technique that I've seen some folks do. And I actually don't show this technique and don't actually do it in my practice. And the reason is this technique will sometimes make you rely on your shoulder joint, and you start to do this with your shoulder joint, and that can lead to strain here. So I actually don't do that technique. If I'm going to go in this direction, the superior direction, then I may do this type of lean, and effectively my whole body moves instead of just my shoulder joint. So you can do all of those techniques either in the superior direction or in the inferior direction. The added techniques, the added work that we can do in the mid-back will include ribs. And I love to get my fingers and find a space between ribs. I can sink in first to the bone layer of the ribs, right? I sink into bone, and then I can fall off the bone and find that little groove between the ribs and sink in to that layer of muscle between ribs, the intercostal muscles. And here you'll see my fingers sink in and work the ribs. As with the previous concept of directional resistance, there can be directional resistance in the intercostal tissue, either in the medial direction or in the lateral direction. I like to use fingers, and if I use fingers, I may create a wedge with my fingers like so, and sink into ribs like this. One thing I don't like to do is use my thumbs, and the reason I don't like to use my thumbs in the intercostals is because it's very easy for me to fall into this pattern where I fan my thumbs out, and that can put some strain on this joint. So I don't like to do that. Instead, I'll use my fingers, and I'll support my fingers one over the other just like so. Again, it's important to get behind the tool. If I'm going in this direction, if that's where I felt the directional resistance, then I like to get behind the tool. I don't want to be all the way over here and start working in this way. Believe it or not, every little bit of exertion like this can put strain on your shoulder joints and even your elbow joints. So I want to stay away from strain and work like this behind the tool. If you prefer to use knuckles, you can use knuckles if they fit in between that intercostal space, then feel free. Here I go. Now what if I needed to work in the lateral direction? Well, it's very alluring to just stay where you are and work in this direction. It's very tempting to stay where you are and just work in this direction. But if we keep doing this all the time, then we'll possibly lead to strain in the elbow and shoulder joints. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to go in this lateral direction, I may actually work across the table. And I'll show you when I start to go on this side of the table, where I may work across the table and go like so in the lateral direction. Of course, as you're done with these techniques, you can incorporate or integrate a effleurage stroke, or some sort of compression, or some sort of rocking, whatever you feel the client needs at that point in time. The fingers are also kind of a great tool to get into that space between spinous process and transverse process. Again, we can sink into this space. Imagine we can access and get to multifidus, rotatorius, all of these great, small, important postural muscles. If I wanted to work on the lateral part of the body, then I may actually have my client get into side lying position so I can access this area better. To work deep tissue, most people may actually work across the table and then try to force and exert to get deep into this area, but you may actually just end up straining yourself, and the client may not really be feeling the deep work. So, when it comes to lateral side, then I may get put the client in side lying position.